Good evening, everybody. This is the Roaming Prepper in a completely oddball time for me. Hold on a second while I adjust my audio. Hope everyone is doing well this evening. Hey, Jeep. Hey, Monique. Just watching the Nomad Capitalist. I need to check that channel out. That is a YouTube channel, if I recall correctly. Today I'm going to do something different. I finally got back from the drilling rigs you guys were watching me at earlier today, and I'm just done. I'm done with my day, but I'm too awake to go to bed, but I'm too tired to do stuff. I'm sure you guys can relate. So today I wanted to do something new, and I'm not sure if it'll work or if I'm going to get in trouble for it, but I'm going to try anyway. So, and oh, hold on a second. So if any of you are content creators and would like to join me in the panel, I don't know how many people I can do if I share a screen, but I'm going to do a watch party. It's not going to be super long because it is kind of getting late and I'm not 19 anymore. But I found communiTV.net listed their top 10 post-apocalyptic movies. I love movies and I love learning about the apocalypse, and we're all preppers, so that's just cool. So I was going to play this and then I'm going to chime in while we kind of watch what they're saying. So what I'm going to do, let me hold on a second here. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Hey, what's up, Bug Dude? Hey, JH, I'm glad you guys can make it. Kind of a later evening for me. Let's see if we can get this share. And let me see. All right, let's see if you guys can hear this audio. Let me know if you can. Otherwise, I have done something wrong. Can you hear that audio? I don't know if who's watched this movie, by the way. Were you guys able to hear the audio on the screen I'm sharing? No sound. Okay, thank you, Monique. That's what I wanted to know. So obviously, I'm not doing something very good. Bear with me just a second. Oh, there we go. Share screen. Share window. Hold on a second. Let's see if I can get this to behave the way I want it to. And it may not let me do it, guys. I will be very bummed. Okay, so apparently, let me get rid of this. So apparently the screen didn't want to play. So let me try that again and see if it will play nicely with me. Oh, I know what I did wrong. So anyway, these guys came up with their top 10 apocalyptic movies. And oh, here we go. I think I got it now. Okay, so you guys should be able to see.
Number 10. I Am Legend, 2007.
Can you guys hear that now? Hey, Ragnarok.
Please.
Oh, I'm Jeep. I'm having all sorts of technical difficulties today.
I
It's
Am
just
Legend is a
making me nuts.
2007 post-apocalyptic action
Can you hear the
thriller
audio
film
now?
directed by Francis Lawrence and stars Will Smith. Following the loner Robert Neville, who is the only remaining survivor after a deadly virus decimated humanity. He finds out he's immune to it for unknown reasons.
Thank you, Bug Dude.
While trying to create a cure of his own blood, survival is his biggest challenge because he is not the only one craving.
Looking for cinematic stock footage.
So, oh yeah, we're gonna get commercials. So, what do you think for their choice of number 10?
Footage with a license that covers you forever.
Around in the left streets
I
of
Am
Manhattan.
Legend. By the way, what were those things? Oh, you were saying bug was all over the map. Um, yeah, I'm feeling all over the map. That's what happens when you're sleep deprived and you're not 19. You start like you come up with weird stuff. So were these things zombies or were they vampires? Were they aliens? I mean, they were obviously people who took a vaccine and let's think about that for a second. Okay, anyway, that's kind of creepy now that I'm thinking of it. But okay, so can we do a vote? The javelinas, that's what javelinas sound like. That's no joke. Yeah, they're the weird, yeah, vaccination experiments. But weren't these things supposed to be like they found a cure for something and they started injecting people and all of a sudden these things showed up? Oh, was about a vax? God, it's been a while since I watched it. Now that's bugging me. I'm gonna have to go back and see that. But V didn't get deformed because of the vax. He got burned or something, right? Like him wearing the mask was completely different from the vaccine. But I don't remember. But yeah, I so number 10, that should definitely be in the top 10. Do you think it should be number 10 or further up? Just you guys throw that out in the chat. Let me know what you think if this should have been further up. But let's see what the other ones are. So anyway,
Number 9.
number 9.
10 Cloverfield Lane, 2015.
How long do we have to wait until it's safe?
Depends on proximity to the closest blast, 1 year, maybe 2.
Okay, John Goodman
10
was
Cloverfield
an
Lane is a
absolute creep in
2016
this
science
movie.
fiction psychological thriller film directed by Dan Trachtenberg and stars Mary Elizabeth Winstead, John Goodman, and John Gallagher Jr. This sequel to the surprise found footage horror Cloverfield reinvents the franchise with an incredibly smart and thoughtful plot. When a mysterious invasion like apocalypse destroys human civilization, 3 people who couldn't be more.
So what do you think of this one, guys? Number 9. I think John Goodman played a really great role. I also think they kind of threw Preppers under the bus because he kept saying, I was prepared, and then he was a psycho. By the way, there may be spoilers in this watch party, so if you haven't seen the video or the movie, kind of throw it in the comments so I don't say something that might ruin the movie. But yeah, he was
different find themselves trapped inside a bunker. Slowly growing
he did
mad,
have a
they
bunker
must
though,
realize
which was
that one of them
badass.
is not who he pretends to be in
You
this
need to see
masterpiece
this one,
of
Monique.
chamber play.
Their weapons will make the Ruskies look like sticks and stones.
It's unlike the original Cloverfield, which was very blatantly an alien. This is more of a thriller type movie, so it's pretty cool. So
Luckily, I prepared for this.
Number 8.
okay, let's see what they had for number 8.
The Road, 2009.
What's happening?
Okay, this one should have been further up too.
The Road is a 2009 post-apocalyptic survival film directed by John
too.
Hillcoat and stars Viggo Mortensen, Cody Smith
Most
McPhee,
definitely.
Charlize Theron, and Guy Pearce. It is a sensational dystopian story of a father and child who are walking alone through the burned America. Their goal is the coast, although they don't know what, if anything, awaits them there. They have nothing, just a weapon to protect against rebel teams chasing the street, the clothes they wear, a wanted food truck, and each other.
I'm not going to be around forever.
So this one, if you have not seen it, it's a very powerful movie about family, but it's also very dark and hopeful. It's a lot of things. This one definitely should have been in the top 10, so I agree with this. It was a long movie. Yeah, this was a good flick. This is one of those movies that you watch and when you get to the end you go, whoa, and then you sometimes have to watch this one again. I've only seen this one once, but that was okay. So the book is good. That is cool to know. I did not know that there was this was based on a book, so that makes it even cooler. Was the book super detailed too, Ragnarok? We'll keep playing while.
Sooner or later, you're gonna have to look after yourself. Help me with the goddamn cart.
Number 7.
Okay, let's see what they came up with for
A
7.
Quiet Place 2018.
Hey Harvey, how you doing? Harvey Black has joined us.
A Quiet Place is a 2018 science fiction horror film directed by John Krasinski and stars him with Emily Blunt. In the modern spine chiller, a group of 4 must explore their lives peacefully.
I did not see this one. Did you guys see it? And if so, what did you think of it? Holy cow, you read the whole book in one sitting. That's crazy. That must have really been a good book for that. So,
After totally
yeah, I
blind
haven't seen
monsters
this one
with
either.
ultra-sensitive hearing compromise their survival, the family must remain undetected and learn to remain silent while hiding from lurking monsters. Speak and you're hunted. Make a noise and you're dead before you can blink.
That's creepy.
Number 6. 28 Days Later, 2002.
Okay, I thought this one was good.
28 Days Later is a 2002 British post-apocalyptic horror film directed by Danny Boyle, written by Alex Garland.
Okay, so technical question for those of you. Hey, Shorty, I'm glad you made it. Those of you who like movies, the waking up in the hospital, I think these guys did it before The Walking Dead, but I'm not sure of the timeline. So, if you haven't had a chance to see this one, this was an independent film. I love this one. I've seen it several
And
times.
starring Naomi Harris, Cillian Murphy, Christopher Eccleston, and Brendan Gleeson. Waking up in an abandoned hospital, our lead character takes a blow in an empty world. He has not been conscious since a mysterious virus drained all of the United Kingdom. Fighting his way out of a whirly brain and struggling to figure out what's going on, he struggles to make his way home.
Water.
This one was creepy too.
Are you okay?
Number 5. Children of Men, 2006.
They'll take us to the Human Project.
I have not seen this one either.
The Human Project is real.
Yeah, but you're also the guy that believes in UFOs.
Children of Men is a 2006 dystopian science fiction action thriller film directed by Alfonso Cuarón and stars Clive Owen,
Hey,
Julianne
Heroic,
Moore,
if
Michael
you want,
Caine.
hop on, man. I think I put the link somewhere in the chat. I don't know if you're like... Hold on. Doggone it. Hey, Stuart, we're doing a watch party, top 10 post-apocalyptic movies according to CTV. And I just thought it would be something fun and not excessively long that would go on for hours, but it would be. And also, we've already hit like 2 movies that a lot of us haven't seen, so. Harvey, you've been doing all right. I've seen you in and out of a lot of different chats. I'm glad to see you on this one. I have not seen this movie, Children of Men. So I don't know if you guys have seen this. Oh, no. Then, yeah. Okay, so this is a good dad. He's got his young'un in his arms right now, and it's midnight on the East Coast, so. Oh, no. Ouch. The good thing is, at least he's little, because if you and I felt like that, we'd be in a hospital for a week. Not that I'm happy your little boy got hurt, but the kids recover at that age pretty quick. So I hope he gets better, man. That's a bummer. Was he on his bike, or did he just wipe out?
Chiwetel Ejiofor and Charlie Hunnam. The world is at the brink of collapse in this timeless masterpiece of suspense and intelligent filmmaking. But in this case, it's not aliens, monsters, or man itself, but the fact that women lost their ability of pregnancy. Slowly fading away, the human civilization finds itself confronted with an inescapable
that's
truth.
weird.
Ironically, when hope is finally found, a deadly and monstrous chase begins. Number 4.
Okay.
12 Monkeys, 1995.
Such wonderful
I
air.
forgot about this one.
What's wonderful about the air, James?
Very fresh. No germs.
12 Monkeys is a 1995 science fiction film directed by Terry Gilliam and stars Bruce Willis, Madeline Stowe, Brad Pitt, and Christopher Plummer.
Have you guys seen this one? Shorty, which one? 12 Monkeys, are you referring to? Yeah, isn't that where Brad Pitt did this a lot with his character? Man, now I want to watch that movie too. I think I got some pizza in the fridge. I might have to go and pull that up on Netflix or something. That is a good one. Okay, I gotta tell them. I gotta tell you guys. I think their top 10 so far have been pretty good. Although I think some of them should have been closer to 1 on the list. But we haven't seen the whole list, so let's see what they come up with.
Truly excellent performances and mind-blowing plot development. 12 Monkeys is a masterful sci-fi experience. When a prison inhabitant in the year 2035 agrees to travel back in time to stop a plague that would wipe out life on Earth to a horrifying extent,
Oh, shit. And I get commercials because I'm watching someone else's channel. Okay, we don't need to hear the Google jingle. But, yeah, thus far... Oh, watching the post-apocalyptic movies?
begins to stop the world from going mad.
What year is this?
What year do you think it is?
1996.
That's the future, James. Do you think you're living in the future?
1996 is the past.
No, 1996 is the future.
Number 3.
Okay, let's see what number 3 was.
Stalker, 1979.
Успокойся, они же не виноваты.
Whoa.
Их пожалеть надо, а ты сердишься.
Ты же видела их, у них глаза пустые.
Stalker is a 1979 Soviet science
Has
fiction
anyone
art
seen
film
this one?
directed by Andrei Tarkovsky and stars Alexander Kadanovsky, Anatoly Solonitsyn, Nikolai Grinko, and Elisa Freindlich. Being a complex and thoughtful parable of philosophical principles, as well as a great time for a suspenseful movie, this classic sci-fi flick will have you at the edge of your seat. We follow 3 protagonists who make their way through forbidden Russian territory called the Zone.
Have you
Soon
seen
they
Stalker?
must face the reality that this
I guess,
place is
Heroic's
redefining
seen
reality
Stalker,
as
yeah.
they know it.
Самое страшное, что не нужно это никому. Никому не нужно.
Okay,
это
so
помнить.
Heroic, since
И
you've
все мы
seen this one
усилия
and a
ни к чему.
couple of others, do you think this one was better than like 28 Days Later? Three. That's what I should do. My next watch party will be the top 10 stupid action movies. That would be a good one. No, you know what we're going to wind up with, Bug Dude? We're going to wind up with Idiocracy. It wouldn't be cool like Demolition Man. We'd get Idiocracy.
Чему?
Okay, let's
Number
see number
2.
2.
The Matrix, 1999.
They are everyone, and they are no one. We have survived by hiding from them, by running from them.
The Matrix is a 1999 science fiction action film written and directed by the Wachowskis and stars Keanu Reeves.
So what do you think of
Fishburne,
this one as being number 2 of post-apocalyptic films? I always thought this was more like science fiction-y than like, whoa. I think they've got this in the wrong category. I'm not
Carrie
buying
Ann
this
Moss,
one, but
Hugo Weaving, and Joe Pantoliano.
good
It
movie
depicts
anyway.
a dystopian future in which humanity is unknowingly trapped inside a simulated reality, the Matrix. When computer programmer Neo
Exactly.
uncovers the truth, he is contacted by Morpheus, a legendary
Yeah, no, I didn't either. I mean, it is technically, it occurs after the apocalypse, but yeah, I agree. I would have put them in a different order. I think like 10 Cloverfield and 28 Days Later, The Road should have been closer to number one. I think you're kind of stretching this one as far as apocalyptic kind of. Yeah, I agree with you guys. I'm not sold on that one.
computer hacker branded a terrorist by the government. Drawn into
Cool
a
movie.
rebellion against the machines, Neo must confront the agents, super powerful computer programs devoted to stopping him, and the entire human rebellion.
Squiddy sweeping in quick. Squiddy.
I said no. Killing machine designed for one thing.
Search and destroy.
Before we unveil movie number 1, here are a few honorable mentions.
Jack, I don't like this. Just bring it back to the shop.
Negative. If I load it on the carrier, I'll be exposed longer than if I just fix it here.
And let's fix it and get out of there.
Copy that.
Why? Why do you want it?
I grew up with it.
Stewart.
I know its power.
Right. How didn't the Book of Eli wind up in the top 10 list? Watching the movie about the Umbrella Corporation and the Hive. Can anyone Umbrella Corporation and the Hive? Day After Tomorrow was a good one. That was the I just recently rewatched that. That was the Atomic War movie. Yeah, Book of Eli, that was apocalyptic. And it was cool because he had that machete and he was like had ninja skills and was cutting people, but I haven't seen Resident Evil. That's a shame. I really need to see that. But the Book of Eli should have been in that list. Like they put that Russian movie and I'm like, eh. So, Monique, did you like Resident Evil? All right, so Book of Eli. That one should have been on the list. By the way, I think Mila Kunis actually played a good role for an apocalyptic film because she's normally not in those kind of movies. And to play like that, the troublemaker, I think she did good in this movie for that particular role. Because normally I wouldn't see her as an action film type of person. So let's see what other honorable mentions. Hey, Auslander.
After the war.
I did not see Snowpiercer either. That anyone watch that one? What did you all think of that? Hey, Creative Redundancy. Hold on, let me see if I can do this right. Oz, if you're where you can talk, feel free to hop on, man. I saw your video earlier, by the way. Since we're like 12 hours off, he and I will comment on each other's stuff, but nobody sees it till the next day because we're pretty much across the world from each other. But your video today, by the way, Oz, was really good. I thought that was top notch. Haven't seen Snowpiercer. Has anyone seen it? Is it good? Not good?
Sit down, everyone! Stop the rationing!
Sit down.
Sit down.
This kind of reminds me of the and you guys help me out. The movie, it was where the cities became mobile and like London was trying to eat all the small towns. I just blanked out. I can't remember what the hell it's called. But This kind of looks like that. What was it? Something machines. Help me out here, guys. I can't remember what, but this kind of looks like that. Like,
Bastards. Now isn't the time.
Well, when is the time?
Soon.
Number 1.
okay, number 1, guys.
Mad Max Fury Road, 2015.
Really?
You got more friends.
The 4th installment in the Mad Max franchise, Mad Max Fury Road, takes place in a post-apocalyptic world where the remaining
Are you guys
population has
buying
to
this
fight
one
for the
as
basic
number 1?
necessities of life. The story follows 2 revolutionaries, a woman fighting to reach her homeland, and a man.
Yeah, I'm struggling with this one. I mean, this was a good movie, but why not the original Mad Max? That was cool. That was, independent film, kind of a little bit dark and kind of weird. This beat the other. What? No. Oh, guys. Oh, hold on a second here, y'all. Hey, Oz, can you hear me?
I hear you.
Hey, cheers, man. Welcome aboard. Everybody,
Thanks.
if you haven't, this is Oslander, and I caught his channel. Shoot, when was that? Probably within the last couple of weeks. We kind of connected.
Cool.
How are things going down there for you, buddy?
My family's down back home. I'm physically still in Europe for the next few weeks, so until I get a flight back. Another nightmare in itself.
Oh,
Trying
so
to get a
you're in
flight
Europe
back
now?
physically, yeah. Mentally, and everything's in Australia. Just my body's in Europe right
no,
now.
I
This
hear
very
you.
moment. Yeah.
You're physically in the wrong place. But
Well, I'm with my family, and my family's in the western suburbs of Sydney in the lockdown area. So, yeah.
Oh, so you're there and they're
Yeah, I'm waiting
back
to get a
home.
flight back. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Fun.
I just had a coworker hop in. Okay, it was Mortal Engines. Thank you, Ragnarok. Yeah, we're not very pleased. We were doing a top 10. You kind of rolled in toward the end. We were doing a top 10 based on CTV's top 10 post-apocalyptic, and they said Mad Max, the new Mad Max, not the original, was number 1, and I'm kind of disappointed now.
Yeah, I think the original is more realistic in a
Yeah,
lawless society than anything.
Oh, most definitely. So, how are things back home? I guess you're not at home right now, but yeah, I agree
know
with you, Shorty. Go ahead.
I know what's going on back home, more so than anything you'd ever imagine. Can I just before I interrupt you again?
Oh no, go for it.
Sometimes you need to be dragged away from all the noise and look at it from I won't say a bystander's point of view, but from a bird's eye point of view. That's probably the best way to describe it. To actually get a clearer picture, because your mind gets cleared of all the noise and all the BS that's being pumped out to everybody in that area of trouble it's like there's no distractions.
Yeah.
So when you get put into that situation, then all of a sudden you do get to see things a lot clearer. And I've seen that with everybody, whether it be people in the States, whether it be people in the UK, Australia, Canada.
Yeah.
And your mind clears up of all that rubbish that's being thrown out towards you, all those daily little things that are just clogging your thoughts up with all the issues that are locally related. And yet all it takes is it doesn't take long. It might take only a few weeks of being absent from that surrounding to actually get a clear mind and to actually put the jigsaw puzzle together clearly in your mind, where you sort of like, oh my lord, look, this
When-
is even worse than what I thought. You know,
where you're not dealing with that right in your face kind of situation.
Exactly. There's no smoke bombs. There's no tear gas in your eyes. There's no smoke bombs out there that you can't see what's going on because you're looking at it from a whole different angle because you're not physically right there. You're not on the ground.
Right.
So that's just what I wanted to say. It doesn't make anybody smarter. It just you really do need to sometimes get yourself out of that surrounding. And I mean, there are people out there who are smart enough, who are capable of doing that without leaving their place of residence. I'll just put it that way. But in my case, I admit I'm not able to do that. But yet, having had this opportunity, quotation marks, situation where I had to be here where I am now.
You had to go to Europe.
Yeah. Yep. And just basically it happened and you realize, wow, these people down there, you can't really hold it against the majority for not being able to figure out things and not being able to understand what's going on around them because they're just flabbergasted with flabbergasted. I remember I was speaking to international crowd. Sorry.
No worries. I've used that word a few times myself at work. And don't use it very often here.
Yeah, exactly. They're overwhelmed. They're just inundated with all this, with everything in life around them, and they're just battling those little things that they're surrounded with all the time that they can't actually clear their thoughts up to the point where, I'm like one of these people that obviously can't do that when that I wasn't able to do that when I'm on the ground. But when you're taken away from that and you're looking at it from a different angle, often enough that, in my case, that helped to clear my thoughts up, clear my, you could see and hear things from a different angle.
Kind of understand what's... So what are you thinking, the way they're handling things down there? Do you think that's productive or do you think it's kind of hurting things?
Oh, it's destructive. It's outright destructive. It's evil. It's evil. And I don't use the word evil lightly. Yeah, exactly. And I don't mean evil in any, mystical type of witchcraft type of thing, although some people may.
Right.
But in my mind, it's just you have good versus bad, right versus wrong. And then it's outright destructive, which means it can't be good. And it's destructive because it's actually turning Aussie against Aussie. It's turning human being against human being. And that's the end result. And now somebody might say, that's a conspiracy theory. No, that is the result of what's going on. It is clearly what is currently the status in Australia.
So what we're seeing, because Homestead, not Homestead, is it Homestead Oz?
Yes.
Right. I've seen some of her stuff, and it's been kind of telling because what she's been describing is really horrendous.
Well, for Australians, that is horrendous. Look, Aussies, just like most US citizens who have never left the US, most Aussies have never left, I won't say their hometown, but they've never left their home state. Right. So we're very similar in that nature. And we've had it way too good for way too long. I mean, I'm looking at my kids who were born and raised in the former Eastern Bloc state, right?
Right.
And that's just the remnants of a dictatorship, of a communist regime, socialist regime.
Right.
Just the remnants. They grew up in the remnants of that, which also went through a war and blah, blah, blah. And all that. We don't want to get into too many details. And when they moved to Australia 5 years ago, right, when we moved to Australia, back to Australia, in my case, back to Australia, in their case, to Australia, I saw smiles on their faces. I saw when they came back from school, they were talking about happy things. They were talking about, the positive things about school and not all the stuff that they were talking about when they were in a former Eastern Bloc society, which still is recovering or in the process of change. So I'm not picking. I'm just again stating what observations made, and that made me so happy that my kids were all of a sudden growing up in a way which is how a child should grow up.
Right.
Australians and Americans, and I'll say Canadians, have had it way too good for way too long. We don't understand. And I say we because I'm an Aussie. I'm one of us. And I've spent most of my adult life with Americans. So by all means, it's kind of hard to explain. But when someone says, I'm from the USA, I'm an American, it's like, hey there, brother. Hey there, sister.
Oh, yeah.
Most of my life, most of my physical life has been with you guys, man. It's like
a lot of my best friends were God, Scots, Brits, Aussies, Canadians, you know, and a big heap of Venezuelans and Argentinians lately. And that's been enlightening, meeting those guys.
I can imagine. Yeah. But anyway, like I said, in my personal case, my individual case, I won't say I'm more American than Australian, but I have just as much emotional attachment to Americans as what I do, almost as what I do for Australians, fellow Australians, if not the same. It's you can't. Some of the things that I went through with with Americans, we say Yanks, not in a derogatory term. It's just a slang term. I apologize.
I'm in Texas, and I grew up north, and for a while I got called a Yankee. So yeah, that's
Well, Sam's Boat. You been there? Houston, Sam's Boat.
Yeah, no. Now I'm down here in West Texas. Well, depending on where the company needs me at the moment. I was in Houston for quite a while.
Oh. Did you go to Sam's Boat? Have a few
you know
beers
what?
there?
I tried a couple of times, couldn't get reservations, and then I got frustrated and wound up going to Perry's, and I fell in love with that place. So I never went back to Sam's Boat.
You should have just done like I done, mate. And my mate who was from Georgia. We just hopped on a bus from the hotel room and just right. Me buddy from not mates, buddy. Don't want anybody to think that I'm that way inclined. No.
No. Texas.
We
no, yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, we just took a bus, went there, sat down, and they just looked at us and I spoke, and they're like, "Oh, he's a foreigner."
Okay. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
You just took over the corner and said, "Yeah, we're here.
Yep.
Hi. What's up?" No doubt. So when are you hoping you can get back? Do you have to do the test and the whole rigmarole to qualify?
No. Yes. Oh, I've registered of everything. I have to do it. The process at the moment is the following. You register with the Department of Foreign Affairs, or what Europeans may often know as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, something along those lines. That's the Australian version of it. So I'm registered with them. Then if I manage to get onto a flight, which I usually booked out in a matter of 5 to 10 minutes when they're announced. So they need more flights. There need to be more flights to cater for the people.
Is there a shortage by the country saying we don't want more flights in? Or is it a shortage of personnel in the airlines right now?
I just blame it on the red tape, to be honest. Qantas has more than enough flights available daily. I mean, Qantas has more than enough airplanes and stuff.
It's just getting all those boxes checked so you can get the Ministry of Magic.
No, I think it's just red tape. They're just control freaks. That's what they are.
So what we're hearing is accurate, that you can't be more than so many kilometers from your home. You can't be out at certain times outside of your designated hours. Or
the curfews were put in place in some states. Victoria, 100% guaranteed. New South Wales, it was put in place, but they were liberal. They were liberal enough the cops were liberal enough to understand that some people. Look, it's one thing to go out there when there's a curfew. I'll say, it is a curfew. The cops were being human beings. Okay, in most cases, in 99% of the cases, when it came to that topic, if you were just out there walking the dog, like one of my daughters was walking the dog, messing with the dog in the park right next to us, physically right next to the house. So there's no issue there. You know, it's like it's right next door to your house. So you're not really, you see what I mean?
Yeah. It's not at the house, but they see the girl with a dog next to her home. They're not going to hassle her.
Exactly. So I can't really say that on that side of things, the cops were pretty normal when it came to that. But when you look at when they're given orders by the politicians, they're following orders. And I don't hold it against them, but at the same time, it eats you alive because it's not a case of following orders against some foreign entity. It's
your neighbors.
Yeah. It's Aussie against Aussie.
And this blows my mind because it puts the police in an impossible position. Do you disobey the order and then you're in trouble? Or you obey the order and you cause more trouble than you hurt the society?
You just do your job. Person in uniform is a person in uniform. End of story. You get the job done. It's only in your older years that you look back and you start reflecting. Simple as that. That's the only way I can describe that.
Wow, that's tough. That's awful. And I always knew, at least I've never been to Australia. I've been the other way. I've gone to over the other pond, if you will. I always envisioned Australia as kind of like Texas without the 6-shooters. There's a lot of folks outdoors, very social, and it breaks my heart to hear this. It really does.
Makes you, just to confirm what you're saying, old school Australians, that's my generation, definitely. I felt at home when I was in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
So that just confirms what you're saying. If you want to,
the personalities match. Well, it's
Correct.
also an outdoorsy ranch country, if I recall correctly. There's a lot of cattle, farms.
The rural areas are definitely areas which would fit into Texas easily. It's old school. You got old school Australians and the new generation of. And when I say city folk, I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just it's changed. Australia and the USA are very similar in that.
Yeah, it's this has brought out a lot of weirdness in our communities collectively that I guess we hadn't seen before. It was under the surface. It was irrelevant until this happened. And then, the cootie appeared and started making people sick, and all of a sudden things changed. So, man, I'm hoping. Go ahead.
If that happened in the 1950s or 60s, you would not have in Australia, and I'm sure that same situation in the States, from what I've gathered.
Yeah,
it would not have been handled this way. Put it that way.
No. And it's weird. The denying of civil rights is somebody had told me it's not in the Australian Constitution, a Bill of Rights, excluding the Second Amendment, which is rather unique. But that isn't there a recourse for people who've been unfairly detained or denied their civil rights? Is it not enumerated in the Constitution in some way, shape, in Australia?
In the Constitution itself, in reference to cooties general. No, sorry, let me rephrase that. I can say this openly. In the Australian Constitution, there is a section put in there which was voted in via referendum. 100% all the states, right, as such, because the Commonwealth of States,
right,
all of the citizens of Australia, of the Commonwealth, voted in each state, and it was 100% yes vote that no dental or medical treatment / service is the word used, so it covers everything, shall be forced upon people. The exact word is conscripted. And in the modern day and age, the lack of knowledge of just how wealthy the English language really is, people think conscripted is only a military term. Yet if they look at the term conscripted and they go deep into it and look at just the synonyms, for example, which is the most simplistic way of defining what that word means, they will see that it covers a heck of a lot more than just being conscripted into the military. So our forefathers, and this was done in 1946, I believe. Yes, 1946. The best generation to be able to determine what's right and wrong as far as that goes was that generation of people who physically were eyewitnesses to the evils of the Second World War. Simple as that. We can't talk about it because we've never seen that in action. We've never seen victims on a multi-million number of people suffer from something. Well, slaughtered, being just put to, like, hey, you and you over here, you'll get an extra loaf of bread, or you get an extra day off, or you'll be allowed to go out an extra few hours.
It's interesting you say that because, truthfully, if and I know right now a lot of the big countries are posturing. I know China is, Russia, ourselves, everyone's all puffed up. Another conflict would not be a foreign one. That would be in people's backyards, because even if they don't throw a nuke anywhere. And you're absolutely right. I think, people will, I don't think a lot of the current generation have understand truly how bad it was during that war.
No, they don't. And here's another thing. Look at all the people that, I'll say emigrated, who literally fled, but we'll say emigrated from the Eastern Bloc to Western countries, whether that be Western Europe, Australia, Canada, America. They fled the exact same, well, just like people fled National Socialist, and I always put an emphasis on that, National Socialist, aka Nazi Germany, which we commonly refer to as fascism.
It's the same
people
thing. Different
fled from international socialism, aka communism, with the same vigorous nature to get the heck out of that evil.
Yeah.
For a good 50 years, roughly, if not more. So it's all there. It's all there. It's just a matter of just trying to see it and hear it and understand it and say, wow, hang on a second. This is what occurred under these types of regimes.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I have a friend, a rather good friend, a work colleague, who, when his family owned cattle ranch in Venezuela, they did well. And when Chavez took power, his father decided to sell the heads of cattle, the ranch. He divested all his possessions over a couple of years, and he did it below market. He sold it to move it, and then he packed up and came to Texas, ironically. And people told him, no, you're losing money. You need to stick around. And I remember that bug, dude. And he said they moved to the States within the first 3 or 4 years. Everyone who remained got nationalized.
Ouch.
And according to him, he had an uncle or a relative who was a rather high-ranking military official who, in an open meeting in front of the other commanders, told this new regime to piss off, but not very pretty way. And he said about 6 months, they told him to leave, and he didn't listen to the family. He said, no, I'm going to stay here. About 6 months later, he and his security team were attacked en route to the base by unknown assailants, of course, right? You know, some Antifa-looking guys. They got into a pretty massive gun battle and must have killed a couple of dozen people on both sides, and they got his relative in the process. It was one of those commanders that were resisting the regime change. He said they took out several like that, and then they started arresting the the journalists shortly after. It's the same model, Oz. It's the same model every time we see this stuff.
Yes. Definitely.
It blows my mind that we have people who, and this is,
Well, they got cancelled. That's what I like to say. They got cancelled one way or the other.
yeah. And
It's the same immorality that we see among humans, or amongst us humans, regardless what country we're from,
true.
in our behavior online, where we're interacting like this, and yet you see people deliberately going out and cancelling others one way or the other just because they disagree with them on some things.
Yeah. It's scary to think about when you think about it. I think we've gotten, I also think these, having everything closed the way we have for almost 2 years now, depending on where you are, I think the psychosis that this created in society is just phenomenal. You think about it. I mean, if you grew up similar to me, if you ran your mouth as a 19-year-old out in the street and you said the wrong thing to someone's wife, you got punched in the head, or somebody threw you in a trash can. You know, there was a consequence.
It was a possibility, yeah.
And one of the potential outcomes, right? But you knew in the back of your head, if I say too much, I'm going to throw down with someone. And honest to God, I think we have a generation who believe or don't perceive consequences for what they say and do, because they can do it, you know, like we're interacting over IP addresses. They do the same thing. They can lash out, be horrendous to people, make threats, and then shut off their computer and go about their day, and there's no consequence. And honestly, with everyone locked away, a lot of these folks, I think they just didn't interact, socialize like a dog that wasn't socialized. They don't know how to behave now.
Yeah, confusion, definitely. Everybody's confused, including the best of preppers. No matter how much someone may think they're ready for everything, I don't think we're ready for the unknown. We may think we are, but we're not. How many times has each of us been wrong about something that we predicted could or would happen?
I think that's what's scary. A lot of folks said, no, that'll never happen. You know, and no, there'll be shortages only for a week. No, they won't, you know, take away your rights or arrest you for being outside. And good Lord, you know, it's happened.
Yes, it has happened. Let's go back to China. Let's go back to China, early 2020, or late 2019, but early 2020 in reality. The entire Western world was disgusted at what China was doing to its citizens, what the Chinese government, as a centralized authority, was doing to its citizens. When we say centralized, we often think just one centralized government in Beijing, which is the case there. However, they do have government bodies and representatives and authorities all over in each, I'll say region, or in each state or region, whichever way you wish to describe it, who are following through with these orders, who are doing things in accordance with the needs of that city or region and so on.
The commissars.
Correct. Well, what's the difference between a federal government and state governments who are doing the exact same thing especially if they're in collusion in a Western world, like, for example, best example is Australia, where they're actually colluding to avoid, to circumvent our Australian Constitution via legal systems that should fall under the Australian Constitution because it was voted in by what? Referendum. And to make matters even worse, Australia being a commonwealth, the word common meaning we the people,
Right.
literally meaning we the people. We are the common part of a commonwealth. It's a commonwealth of states, but it's the people of each state that voted for it. And to confirm that, the legal piece of the legal document to confirm that is the following: every citizen of Australia, of the Commonwealth of Australia, gets their, if they were to just go out and get their citizenship certificate or whatever they wish to call, whatever you call it in any other country, but in our country it's a certificate of citizenship. It says Australian. It doesn't say Victorian. It doesn't say New South Wales. It doesn't say Queenslander. It says you are a citizen of Australia. Hence, the voted in via referendum by us, the common folk, us, the common part of the Commonwealth, is the highest document on a national level as far as legality goes. As far
It
as
supersedes the
everything
the
else,
states.
correct?
Yeah.
Yet we're seeing state governments, so regional governments, whatever you want to call them, doing their thing, colluding with federal government, the central authority. You see what I'm saying? It's the same exact
So
game
is the
plan.
structure there much like it is here, where you have the states and then you have the Fed in balance with one another? Because, for instance, the president can say, we're going to do the following, and the governor of Texas can say, no, I'm going to sue you. And he instructs his attorney general to sue the Fed, and then he doesn't comply.
There are many similarities, correct. Similarities, very many, many, many similarities, correct.
But you're not seeing that pushback. It's basically top to bottom compliance. Did they get bought out, man? I can't.
Well, politics give a man power. He doesn't want to lose it. Give a woman a position of power that she doesn't want to lose it.
Yeah, that's I can't fathom that. That's why we should have.
Politics.
What's that?
It's the same. Politics is the same thing. It's the same thing in all over the world, really, but more so visual in the democratic world where people may be voted in. But you see the career politicians nowadays.
Yeah, I fear that all of us, the US, Canada, Australia, Europe, I'm sure in their own way, we've created a political aristocracy. We've replaced Marie Antoinette with, senators or PMs who basically their whole career is spent in a government office.
We've got our Nancy Pelosi's as well, mate. Don't worry.
Sure you do. See, now what you need is a Dan Crenshaw or a Ted Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
Just go and disrupt. Now, I heard you do have quite a few that actually have been rather raucous in Parliament about the way things are going, but they're not enough to push the tide the other way just yet.
Look, there's, again, members of one political party or another political party. Some among them are definitely not for what is going on. They don't agree with it. That's crystal clear. But they also don't push against it, because if they do, they're left without a job. They're left in that no man's land.
Right.
Fear of loss, basically. They're putting their own personal fear of loss ahead of the nation, ahead of what they, as individuals, truly believe is right versus wrong. And yet they won't do it because they're afraid.
I really wonder if, and we may not see it in the next couple of years, but if 5, 10 years from now, or at some point in the future, And it probably won't, but if we're going to see people being impeached, being charged, somebody circling back and recalling someone and kicking them out of office, we've started to see it here. They didn't get rid of Newsom, sadly. So, I guess California can keep their stupidity over there, but we've seen that starting to happen. Several states have tried to recall a politician to kick them out. That's interesting. It's a new monarchy. Yeah. I don't know if you caught the chat, but Monique had mentioned that it's kind of like a new monarchy. Yeah, we've created a new aristocracy, the new Marie Antoinettes, and I don't know, take your pick, Napoleons. They just stayed there too long, and it sounds like
there's a name from the career politicians.
Yes, sir.
Career
Absolutely.
politicians. They've never, ever, ever been out on the ground and earned a living. They went straight from their initial education level, whatever it was, usually a university level, straight in during that period of time at university or college. They they joined a political party, and that was the beginning of their political career. And they've never left it. They've never seen or experienced or felt anything different to it.
Yeah, and they're disconnected from reality, and that's dangerous for the rest of us. That is absolutely dangerous for society. Man, I think we've made everyone's head spin between the top 10 post-apocalyptic films, and now we're talking about the current apocalyptic film.
Well, let me go one step further. It's great to see many people out there in the world supporting Australians. Those Australians who are against tyranny, those Australians who are trying to enforce the reality of democracy, and that is a referendum, a constitution that was voted in via referendum. So it was the people who said, yes, we agree with these terms that are put in there, and we want this to be our constitution. And with 100% vote, meaning all the states agree, all the people of all the states voted yes.
Agreed.
With a vast majority. So it is the most democratic way of getting something into power as far as democracy goes. And if we fail, imagine what's going to happen to the rest of the Western world. So right now, I'm putting Australia on the spot here. If Australia fails in its democratic values and virtues, the rest of the world will say, well, it's more than possible. Anybody can do it.
And then they're going to start chasing everyone.
There's no reason for it not to be done in the States. You have a president. You are a republic. It's a mild difference, but the difference is huge when you look at the powers.
Yeah.
One president with the stroke of a pen can bring about a new law. And by the time that law is revoked, I won't say it's too late, but the damage is done.
Yeah.
And we've seen that happen. We have seen that happen way too many times.
In Australia or here in the States you're referring to?
In the States, in the US.
Oh yeah.
President.
When they do a presidential, it's not a decree. It may as well be a decree from a king, but I know what you're saying. An executive order or something.
Executive order, correct. They sign an executive. A president can sign an executive order in any republic out there, and that is in power until the High Court or the Supreme Court, in your case, says different. But the damage is done.
Yeah, the damage is done. And sometimes I'll be honest with you, sometimes the executive order is a choice not to fulfill a law. I've seen them do it the other way, where the president does an executive order and essentially tells the authorities, do not enforce this law because it wasn't in his interest or her interest, as the case may be. So,
yeah, there you go. So one man or one woman in power can do that in any republic out there. While in the Commonwealth, I know that you have a Commonwealth. Is it Georgia? You have a Commonwealth within the states,
right?
But they
we have several.
But they fall. Yeah, but they fall under. Oh, okay, that's excellent. But unfortunately, they fall under the republic laws in the republic system. And I say unfortunately because of the powers of the president. In a Commonwealth, that should not be possible. But yet, we're seeing it happen right now, where the political party in power with the Prime Minister, aka the equivalent to the head of the country, the president, as would be in a republic, is literally colluding with the states to avoid/circumvent our constitution, which the federal government, as what you would call it there, the Commonwealth government, should be protecting and making sure that no state abuses its powers in such a way so as to circumvent our constitution. But they're not doing it. So if that happens, like I said, in Australia, there is no president in any republic on this earth who will not abuse his powers from that point forward, because they will see that they can get away with it.
It sets a precedent.
I'm not exaggerating. No.
I agree with you. It sets a dangerous precedent, and then every leader is going to try and replicate that.
Well, they
some
can.
way, shape, or form.
They'll see that they can replicate it because they have more power than what the Australian government has. The president has more power, or more responsibility, more authority in any republic than what the Prime Minister in Australia has, as such. That's scary. It's a scary thought, isn't it? Not to say that Australia's Commonwealth is ideal. Far from it, and that's obviously the case. We can see. I'm not saying we're better or worse. It's a different way of governing, and it should be more democratic. It should be more dependent on referendums on the people.
Right.
But it's unfortunately in the last. So I always say since the 70s, just to give it a general number. Since the mid to late 70s, that has changed to the point where political parties see themselves as gods, or some sort of, they see themselves as gods, literally. So it's up to the humans that are in those parties. And again, we've seen what's the only difference? The difference is career politicians versus those who actually were farmers, were plumbers, were well-educated, doctors, and people who were soldiers, who lived through the Second World War, who lived through the First World War, who lived through the Korean War, not so much Korean War for Australians, but Vietnam War for Australians. And all of a sudden, what have we got? How many vets do we see in the Australian Parliament? Very few.
No.
Just like in the US government, in the US, you don't see many of them.
Well, you're seeing them more now in Congress, quite a few, as a result of the Iraq and Afghan wars. A lot of them have come home, and it's funny because even regardless of party, the majority of them I can listen to and at least appreciate what they're saying. You don't have that weird fringe nonsense with the ones that had to go overseas. I don't see that as much. But yeah, we could probably do with more of those, without a doubt. But, well, my friend, I hope you can make your way home and reunite with the family soon. Keep us. Are you going to kind of update us on the tube as things progress? Let us know if you've made it back.
When it happens. I don't like procrastinating because a lot of times
fair enough.
How can I put this? I don't like procrastinating, but at the same time, I don't like predicting what's going to happen, because I've learned one thing, and that is no matter what you believe in, there is one law out there that we all need to believe in as far as law goes, and it's a man-made law. It's called Murphy's Law.
You beat me to it. I was about to say you're worried about Murphy, aren't you?
Yep.
So well, hopefully we'll keep you in our thoughts and prayers over here in the Great Lone Star State. And there are actually
You
quite a
guys,
few Texans on there. So
God bless Texas. I still got my tie. I have a Texan tie with the
you
Texan
do.
flag. Yeah, I'll keep that. That's something I bought when I was in Houston. I was like, oh, I like this. I want to get this.
Oh yeah, Houston's a fun town. If you ever make it to the rodeo, if they ever redo the start the rodeos again, I'm assuming they probably will this coming year. That's a hoot. That's a big block party there. Just not as obnoxious as Mardi Gras.
Oh, fair enough.
Well, brother, best of luck to you and Godspeed in your journey, man. We'll be keeping an eye on your channel. And folks,
You guys
check
stay
out
safe. Yeah.
check
Sorry.
out Oz's channel. We put the link somewhere in the chat. I think we lost it. It went up. It scrolled
Don't
away.
stress. Don't stress out, mate. And
But go ahead.
Americans are just as much home in my Australian channel, my channel with an Australian flavour to it, as what any other Aussie is really in my particular case. I may talk about Australia, but trust me, speaking with anybody from the States, even those nutcases from the States, I still sort of like, it's like, you always get, it's like, hey man, I got just as much respect for you as what I do for my fellow Aussie in so many ways that you can't understand, It's like, because of my life journey, that's the case with my individual case, and yeah.
No, man. Well, we'll be keeping an eye on you, and Godspeed, man. God bless you and your family.
Yeah, you guys stay safe there as well, and
hope you can
and
get
just
back, and you may want to have a pint later today and kind of
no
dwell on
alcohol.
things. Oh no.
No. Gotta keep the mind crystal clear. Make sure
Fair enough.
get things
Yeah,
done.
especially considering you got a few things to navigate to get home.
Exactly.
Fair enough, my friend. Well, brother, be safe, and to everyone in the chat, thanks for hanging out with us. You guys be safe, and we'll probably do another watch party next week if the fates allow. So, Oz, take care,
Can I
and
say one
everybody,
thing?
go ahead,
Can
shoot.
I say one more thing? God bless America and God bless my home Australia.
Amen. Well, there you go. Bug Dude kind of summed it up right there. All right, folks. Hey, Yardbirds snuck in on us. I didn't see him in there. All right, folks. Be safe and y'all take care. We'll see you later, Oz.